UN Special Rapporteur Monica Pinto is urging Sri Lanka to face its bloody past. Visiting the capital Colombo this weekend, she said, and I quote, "The war is over, but much of the war machinery is still in place." At least 40,000 civilians were killed in the last few months of the war, in which rebel Tamil Tigers were finally defeated in 2009, just 7 years ago. The government has promised an impartial investigation into human rights violations by both sides. The UN says nothing's going quickly enough. Ahead of my own recent visit to the country, I asked a Sri Lankan living in exile, Pireeni Sundaralingam, about travelling in a region where alleged human rights abuses haven't been addressed, sometimes haven't even stopped.
If you're a traveller, I think you play an actually incredibly important role, particularly if you're coming from the West and if you're coming from Europe, from Austria. If you go to Sri Lanka to appreciate the beauty of the landscape and the culture, I think it also behooves you to have the responsibility as a global citizen to ask questions. And in a way, you have the freedom to ask questions that a Sri Lankan cannot ask. By you going and asking questions, you can in a way bring these things out from the shadows, because it's very important to remember that one of the first key things that the Sri Lankan government did at the end of the massacres in 2008 and 2009 was that they kicked out the foreign journalists and didn't allow internal reporting. Now, if a tourist goes and starts to ask the same questions, you can't be controlled when you put things on Facebook or when you tweet.
I'm always quite wary of playing that role as a traveller, of asking people's questions, because I will be safe, no one will bother me, but I wonder whether the answers that I'm given could get these people into trouble. So by asking the question, I'm causing these people maybe severe problems.
So let's take a concrete example. Quite a lot of travel to the north of Sri Lanka is still restricted. Now, this is an area that was attempting, the complicated history of Sri Lanka, but it was attempting partition and independence and was seen to be very much defeated. There's very few resources being sent back into those devastated cities in order to help them rebuild and to create a peaceful life for the future. The funding is not going there. So if you go as a tourist and insist on talking to the plentiful number of army soldiers you will meet who will be attempting to control your free passage and asking these questions, change starts to happen because the government does not want to look bad. You create that culture of question making that the government was trying to stop. So go there and ask why the city of Jaffna has not been rebuilt. Why are there no funds? Why are people living without adequate food, water and medicine? Amnesty International talks about this as being the worst genocide of the 21st century. So we're still living with the fact that bodies were buried, disappeared, where nobody's identified them. There's nobody really trying to kind of find a peaceful solution to that. So you're in a critical place in history where you can tell your children and your grandchildren, I was there and I asked questions. I didn't shut down, I didn't turn away. If enough of us ask, then there is change, but somebody has to start asking.
Yeah, an interesting, strong voice. Pireeni there. She'll be part of this Saturday's Reality Check special, which is all about that struggle with the scars of war. We'll also hear from victims of torture, eyewitnesses, journalists from there, human rights lawyers. I would be absolutely delighted if you joined me at midday on Saturday.